On February 14, 2017, I experienced the greatest love anyone could imagine. I built storage buildings. And on that day, I was building a storage building on a customer's property. My brother Wayne was helping me assemble the building. Throughout the day, I felt down. I remember telling my brother I didn't feel good. I sat for a moment and ate a bag of chips. Then I continued working. At 1:45, I told my brother to leave so he could pick up his children from school. I continued cleaning up around the building. As I was taking tools to the truck, I had to walk up an incline. I turned to go get more tools and fell backward on the ground. My left leg was underneath my right leg, but arms were slightly spread out from my body. My head was looking off to the left at a small tree. Yet I could still see the sky. I could not move at all. I started telling myself to get up, but I couldn't. As I was lying there, I had an increase in my senses. I could hear the insects crawling around me. I could hear each individual bird chirping. Then I noticed something rustling around me. I had a small sense of panic, wondering why I couldn't move. And wondering what was running around me. After a moment, I heard a dog bark in the distance. Then I would hear something run around me. Then I heard barking again. I finally realized it was a dog running back and forth from me down to the owner's property. I remembered throughout the day, this dog would follow me around and lie next to me wherever I worked. And I know that dog saved my life. However, it would be 1 hour and 47 minutes that I was lying on the ground. As I continued lying there, at the same time the dog was surrounding me, there was a small group of sparrows frolicking in the small tree next to me. Each one would chirp, and it seemed like they all faced towards the customer's house. After a moment, a large flock of blackbirds flew into the tree and made the loudest squawking I'd heard. I finally realized these animals were trying to save me. Sparrows, blackbirds, and an old 13-year-old lab were trying to save me. And I heard each individual sound each animal made. As I continued lying there, I started noticing airplanes in the air. I thought to myself, goodness, a lot of people sure do fly. There were 12 planes flying over at the same time. I had a huge panic attack that I only felt inside. After a few moments, I saw a rainbow tunnel that was coming out of my head. It was just a continuous rainbow tunnel. Then next thing I knew, I was sliding my hand across the side of an airplane. At that moment, I had no fear. I had amazed that I was feeling metal rub against my fingers. Also, the plane seemed like it was flying in slow motion. I felt like I was in my own body. I didn't even notice if I was floating outside my body. Then after the moment I touched the plane, I was in a white void. It was brighter, blinding. It was calming. And it felt like a vast space of white with no shadows. No objects. Just a white vastness. And it felt very calm. I didn't feel like I was floating. I felt I was sitting in a still position. There was what looked like a mirage in front of me. Then it became clear. And there was a lady working at a kitchen counter. She turned to me and said, "David, I love you." She was a lady in her mid-20s. And as soon as I saw her face, I knew it was my mama. Love in the world had enclosed around me. Before, I felt fear, anxiety, and physical pain. But all of it was gone. Love was the only feeling and emotion I could feel. Then with a snap, I heard a vehicle horn blowing. It was the customer. He came over to my left shoulder and asked if I was okay. Inside my head, I told him I was fine, just call my dad. Then I noticed that he was unable to communicate with me. He started pacing back and forth with a panicked voice. He called 911, then he started calling our business number. During this time, I kept screaming in my head, "Just call my dad." He left, then came back with his neighbor. The neighbor had long gray hair and a solid green army jacket. He had a small black satchel. He opened it up and got a stethoscope out and started listening to my heart. He told the customer that he felt like I was dead. I remember screaming in my head that I was not dead. The EMTs arrived and shot Narcan up my nose. They put me on a stretcher and loaded me in the ambulance. They put an IV and respirator on, then started asking me questions. I could not speak, but they said that my eyes had movement. When they got me to the the doctor kept trying to ask me questions. I was trying to answer, but I was only saying one word. For example, he would ask me what my name was. I would say my name is David. But between each word, there was about a 10-minute delay until I said the next word. I could tell the doctor and nurses were confused. But they finally got in touch with my father. I ended up staying in the hospital for 4 days. The doctor told me and my dad that I had a sinus infection, and I had a fever of 107.9 when brought into the I know I died on February 14, 2017. Some people would speculate whether it happened. But I know without a doubt that Christ gave me a gift of experiencing his agape love for me. For a few years after that happened, I suffered from long bouts of depression. In 2009, I had been diagnosed with manic depressive bipolar disorder. At times I missed the amazing feeling I had. And in moments of selfishness, I was angered towards Christ. I remember one night throwing my Bible across the room and falling to the floor, wailing that I wanted to go back home. I still have a longing. But on December 9, 2020, Christ brought me the person who would help me. My beautiful wife and I got married on October 22, 2021. She has helped me discover love. And at times that has brought me back to the feeling of love I had in 2017. I firmly believe she was promised to me through Christ. That day will always be etched inside me until I meet Mama and feel the awesome embrace of my loving father again.